What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Headz TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and TV screens. So in today's episode, we're going to do a review discussion on The Walking Dead, Season 7, Episode 9, Rockin' the Road. I already did like a quick one right after the episode had aired, but it was like my second video, and hopefully, I'm getting a little better each time. So I figured now that I've seen the episode more than once, I'd give a little bit more of an in-depth review and discuss it a little bit more. So, Rockin' the Road, the title actually, in my opinion, has quite a bit of meanings in this episode. I'll try and get to those at some point during the video. Hopefully I get to it before it gets way too long. So, I'm going to skip over the opening with Gabriel right now. We're going to touch on that again a little later. So we're going to start off right basically where we left off in episode 8 with the group in the hilltop. So, of course, we get the wonderful, always wonderful Xander Berkeley as Gregory. This guy is so good. If you read the source material, I swear to you, they couldn't have gotten anybody better. It's like they pulled Gregory right from the pages. Everything about him, from his look to his attitude, is Xander Berkeley. In my opinion, they nailed that one. Not that they don't always. They do a really good job with the casting on this show. So, you get the group trying to persuade, Gregory to go one way or the other. And of course, Gregory being Gregory, he doesn't. We get some great lines from Gregory, but the standout lines to me actually come from Rosita and Sasha when they're leaving Gregory's office. Rosita calls Gregory a walking nutsack, and then Sasha says something about knocking his teeth out. It's great to me how, if you really pay attention to this show, certain things, not only physical things like Herschel's watch, get transferred from character to character, from character to character, but also some of their personal attributes get picked up along the way. And this is a perfect example of it with Abraham gone, and now you see kind of Rosita and Sasha both becoming even more badass than they were, more wisecracky and smart-assy as well, which was all Abraham, I love that about this show. They can always keep in mind, what came before it. So when you do that, it makes it feel like you had a plan the whole time, and it wasn't just, these random events that the writers keep writing. It has attachment and emotional connection to it. I love that. So back to the hilltop. So Gregory basically shits on them. And then they come out, and here's a down point of the episode for me. Look, I love The Walking Dead, as you can see behind me. And I'll probably say this in almost every video, at least in the beginning. I have no problem picking out things that I don't like or I didn't think worked well. So one of the things was definitely Enid being the one to kind of have recruited these hilltoppers to join the army. I don't know. I liked the little look that her and Carl had at the end about it, end of that scene, but I didn't really care for the fact that it was Enid. It didn't make sense to me for it to be Enid. It should have been Sasha or Jesus or the combination, and even Maggie to have gotten them together. And I thought that would have made for an incredible scene to actually shown. They didn't show Enid recruit these people, but I think if you would have had it be the other three, it would have made for a great scene that you actually could have thrown in there. You know how The Walking Dead loves to, fill out as much as they can. I have no problem with that. Some fans do, but I understand. Alright, so then they leave the hilltop. Jesus tells them about the kingdom and King Ezekiel. How does Jesus know the kingdom and King Ezekiel? I don't really know. We get to know later that they know Gregory too, so obviously there was something going on between these two communities at some point for them to have met each other. Maybe it was before Negan, maybe after, who knows? Maybe it was because of Negan, who knows? Alright, so we move to the kingdom, which is where the bulk of the episode, well, I wouldn't say the bulk of it, but a good portion of the episode takes place in the kingdom. And so the group meets back up with Morgan. I like how they actually had Morgan tell them what happened to Carol, as well as have them basically tell Morgan what happened to Abraham and Glenn and Olivia and Spencer. A lot of the times, The Walking Dead tends to skip over those moments. Me as a fan, I usually don't mind having to think and use my brain and say, oh, well, obviously such and such told so-and-so about whatever, which is what The Walking Dead does a lot, leaves it up to the audience. But every now and again, it's nice to have it spelled out, just for those people who always say there's plot holes or they don't explain this, blah, 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 blah. All right, so there we have it. They get to the kingdom. I love the reaction with Shiva. That whole thing was great. I don't know why people are shitting on Shiva's CGI. I love it. I think it looks, as real as CGI usually looks. I mean, and this is TV, and it looks better than some movies. So I have no problems with the way Shiva looks. So there's King Ezekiel. He hears everybody out. I like how he gets a little info from Richard. Then he gets a little info from Morgan, which are totally conflicting. And then later on in the episode, he gets some info from Benjamin. And he still chooses to go against Benjamin and Richard and side with Morgan and not join the war. I know I skipped over a little bit. I'll touch back in a second. I think that's going to kick him in the ass later. The not choosing to side with Rick and them. So we have this great story from Rick about the Rock and the Road, which is kind of one of our first little, tie-ins to the title. And it's a great story, about this big rock in the road and everybody on the way to the castle always got fucked up by the rock. Some little girl's family gets destroyed, or whatever they sell, crops or whatever it was, gets destroyed, and then the girl, digs at the rock, lifts it up, finds a bag of gold. Great story, right? The whole episode is basically that. It's basically Rick encountering rock after rock after rock, till at the end when he has the big smile. Talk about that later. I know I'm all over. All right, so another thing I want to touch on the kingdom is Rick's reaction to what's going on there, their way of life. I think he's envious. I think it's what he envisions. It's what he wants Alexandria to be. A thriving community with people being able to do what they want to do, as well as people training and practicing and learning how to hone their skills in the zombie apocalypse, which of course, as we all know, very important. So, love that. Love the way the kingdom is presented. Yeah, all right. So then Rick decides to leave Daryl. It was great how he says to Daryl, worst comes to worst, you just stare him into submission or whatever he says, which is great because as of the last, I would say since season 3, that's really what Daryl does. Is he stares, he gives mean looks, he doesn't have much to say. Whereas in season 1 and 2, he's a bit more talkative. Okay, so Ezekiel basically says no, but he'll let Daryl stay, and then the group moves on. I have another problem with the episode when they're on the road and they come across the... Oh wait, before I get to that, love the Negan speech on the walkie-talkie, even when he's not physically in the episode and you only hear his voice. Amazing. The whole fat Joey, skinny Joey, now he's just Joey. That whole speech was absolutely amazing. Loved it. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, he's great as Negan. You'll probably hear me say this some more. I have nothing but praise for the guy, but I feel like the way he's written is not intimidating enough. Simon, to me, which I'll touch on again in a second, is way more intimidating to me than Negan, and it shouldn't be that way. All right, so we get the Negan speech with the Joeys, and they find the blockade, which is all Fat Joey's doing, I might add. The whole explosives, who knows? Maybe even the blockade with the cards was his idea as well. We heard them, two saviors, discussing that back in episode 7 of this season. With Carl and Jesus overheard it. Okay, so they find the explosives, Fat Joey's explosives, and I didn't like how all of a sudden, without any explanation, nothing, Rosita just, boom, diffuses the bomb. Now, this goes back to what I said before. It's one of those instances where I guess you can just be expected to know that, well, she spent all that time with Eugene and Abraham. She obviously learned a few things. But it would have been nice at some point, even in the past, to have seen it, or even to just have it mentioned in this episode, like have her know how to do it, and then somebody look at her kind of funny, and then, oh, what, you didn't think you spent all that time with Eugene and Abraham and didn't learn anything, did you? Like a little throwaway line, not really a throwaway line, but a small little line like that, well, would have made the world of difference to me in that scene. So they defuse the bomb. You get really the only action of the episode. Even though it was a good episode, jam-packed with information, it's the only action we really get is this scene, which is an amazing scene with Rick and Michonne cutting through all the walkers. I think they said on The Talking Dead it was over 300 walkers, 300 plus walkers, something like that. The most kills by, on screen by any character or combination of characters, which was amazing. I don't know if they were including the explosion in that or just the cutting, but either way, great. Loved it. Did have problem when Rick and Michonne get out of the car and the way the walkers are everywhere and they're kind of all on them and nobody gets bitten, scratched, nothing. I always have problems with that. I know they have to do it, plot armor, whatever, Rick and Michonne, but just don't have the walkers be that close. There's another way around it. You didn't have to take that approach to where the walkers are like all up on them to still have that tension. I know that's what they were going for, the tension, but to me it lost a little something, took me out of the episode, which The Walking Dead, as much as I love it, it does that sometimes. Nothing's perfect. What are you going to do? All right. So they hear on the walkie-talkie, I skipped that everyone was going to Alexandria or whatever because there was a red situation. So we've heard orange situation. That's, I guess, when somebody who's already a savior steals something and runs away. And now we got a red situation, which I guess is a prisoner escaping. I don't know if we're going to get a blue or a purple or whatever situation, but I love the sanctuary and the way it works. Definitely a positive of the show. All right, so we get back to Alexandria. We have the awesome Stephen Ogg as Simon. Like I said before, I feel like Simon is so intimidating. It's how you should feel when Negan's around. But instead, it's more jokes with Negan and less of the intimidating, where it really should be both. Everyone who knows the source material, and I know you don't have to stick to it religiously, but certain things should be followed. And that's who Negan is. He's scary, funny, scary. He'll scare you, make you laugh, make you feel uncomfortable, and then scare you again, and then start all over. It's just the way he is. And I feel like on the show, the way he's written, it's not the performance. I know it's not. Because when he's supposed to be intimidating, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is intimidating. But the writing, it's like too much jokes, not enough scary. Enough on that. So they ransack Alexandria. They don't find Daryl. Just love every scene with Stephen Ogg and Rick together. It's great. And Rick and them notice the pantry's bare. Let's rewind real quick to the opening with Gabriel. I don't know if he hears something and that's what makes him go down, or if the people on the tower are also supposed to patrol Alexandria streets, which doesn't really make sense to me why their job would be to come down off the tower. But for whatever reason, Gabriel comes down and goes around Alexandria, goes into where the cupboard is or whatever, and he gets jacked. You can hear it. I know you don't see it. I know you don't see nobody with Gabriel the whole time, but come on. You hear the crashing of the pots. Somebody obviously startled him or grabbed him up. I think, hopefully, with The Walking Dead, sometimes they'll leave this stuff out. But hopefully we get to see what happened from a different perspective or something, or at least have Gabriel tell Rick what happened. All right, so he loads up everything, takes it, and I truly think that they went there for the guns that were on the boat, because they followed Rick from the boat. Boots, binoculars there, followed Rick from the boat, and Rick and Aaron, and I think they thought they were going to get all their food and the guns back. They saw that the guns were not there. So what do? We're going to take Gabriel, leave a note for Rick where to find us, the boat, right? Because Gabriel wouldn't, I don't think Gabriel would have wrote the note or known to write the note. And it makes more sense to me that the person with the boots wrote it in the inventory, knowing that the Alexandrians would check it, and that's that. I do think Gabriel left the Bible on purpose, like, here's a clue maybe, I don't know. But I think it was Boots that wrote the note and everything, so that Rick can come to them and they can say, we'll give you back your man, your priest, you just got to give us the guns that you got off the boat, or whatever. Because they don't seem to be well armed. They have guns, the Junkyard Crew, which is obviously, 2 + 2 is where Boots is from. So, I don't know. I don't know why people think that Gabriel left the community or did some dirty shit, or they feel like, Rosita and them are right in how they feel about Gabriel. It just doesn't make sense to me from the viewing standpoint. From their standpoint, I get it, the characters. But from the viewer standpoint, the way it all goes down, and the fact that we see somebody pop up in the car once Gabriel's riding away, I don't know. It just screams that they kidnapped Gabriel and made him, clean out the cabinets, as you were. I also want to touch on when Rick and them are going to look, for Gabriel. I love how The Walking Dead is one of those shows. Not a lot of shows do it. Some shows, but not a lot. The best shows do it. They can have these quiet moments, no dialogue. The actors kill it. They explain everything through their acting. They don't need the words. But I love it because it's real. There's quiet moments in life. Just like there's moments of chaos and hectic, hecticness or whatever. So, yeah. So that's it. They find the junkyard people. They surround them. And then Rick makes that smile, which a lot of people are confused about. I lean towards the group of people who feel that Rick sees the numbers, sees that these are like dirty people. Most of them look young. They're living in a junkyard. I think he feels I can offer them something, and they can offer me something. They have numbers, they have some weapons, and they are obviously willing to fight. So I think that's what the smile is about, is that now, after all the rock in the road, he finally found someone that may be able to help him. I don't know. I think the whole episode was really about the rock in the road, as well as the whole Negan story. How Negan can be considered the rock. The saviors can be the rock. And with Rick trying to find a way to dig it up so he can eventually live free, which would be the goal. But you can also look at it like just getting the people together to fight Negan is his rock in the road. Where all these communities are saying no. And then finally maybe he'll get one or two or all of them to say yes. So as far as the episode goes, ratings wise, I don't like to go more than 5 stars. I feel like going 10, it starts to dilute the rating. So I'm going to give this episode, because of lack of action, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, because I love story. I'm a story-driven guy, and I think that this was definitely a very sorry about that. This was definitely a very character-driven episode, story-driven episode, and I loved it. Sorry about the ringing intercom there. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, definitely show me some love down below. Subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And hope you enjoyed the episode tonight. I can't wait. And I'll definitely see you guys again for another video tomorrow. So have a good night. Enjoy the episode. And thanks for watching.